1,614.
Also in this edition, Munche 3 continued to walk free after a close shave with another imprisonment as Supreme Court throws out suit challenging their presidential pardon.
I'm a bit disappointed because I was seeking that discretionary power, in this country should be kept.
We'll walk you through the journey so far, plus a blow-by-blow account of proceedings in court earlier today. And be candid about recent power outages. Former Deputy Power Minister John Jinapor shoots down Gridco claims dropping gas supply is to blame for recent outages.
My checks indicate that there's a major problem. The IPPs are not being paid what is due them, and the IPPs are owed huge sums of money. And so there's a huge backlog. This year alone, ECG projects that they're going to make a loss of about 2 billion Ghana.
Tonight we ask, is there a return to the dreaded Doomsday era as major parts of the capital witnesses snap outages? We'll hear from the power transmitter. An education service directs JHS and SHS students to line the streets of the Eastern region towns to welcome President Akufo-Addo as he begins his tour of the region tomorrow.
And in business, National Communications Authority finds Tigo, Airtel, Glo, MTN and Vodafone 34 million cedis over issues with voice service quality.
Nigeria Super Falcons hand themselves a lifeline to qualify into the semi-finals of the ongoing AFCON after beating the Sheep Polo Polo of Zambia 4-0 in Cape Coast. Details when I return with sports.
And later on, flip side, a post-match press conference by Black Queens coach Bashir Hayford, which turned into an English lesson class.
Define the word bankrupt first. I want you to define it.
No,
let him define. Allow him. Let him define.
I will define with the sense that.
No. Define the word bankrupt.
You didn't have any style. You didn't have antidote to your.
Is that what you mean by tactical bankrupt? I want you to consult your tactical dictionary again.
We have details of that here on Newsnight. I am Emefa Apau.
And I am Komla Adun. Thank you for joining us.
Do join us with your thoughts and comments via WhatsApp on 0244 340 437. We're right back after the break.
Success of fashion. Trusted, innovative financial services, providing inflation support and solutions. Customer-oriented, superior services. Your success of fashion. 10 good years of loyalty, service with integrity, protective of our Ghanaian brand. 10 years of excellence, 10 years of loyalty. Your success of passion, oh yeah. Your success of passion.
Your success, our passion.
Hello, I say, how did you know? Vodafone normal 10 megabyte free data. It will call Smart Rubiadron. Share.
Hello, have you heard that Vodafone is giving 10 megabyte free data for every minute you talk? You just dial 50-50.
Yeah, hello? Aha! Right now, with the Vodafone people, just they can call plenty. Sake of us, you talk 1 minute, you go get 10 megabytes. You talk 2 minutes, you go get 20 megabytes. 3 minutes.
Call Vodafone or any network and get 10 megabytes of free data every minute you talk. It's simple. Talk to browse. The more you talk, the more data you get. Dial 50-50 to subscribe. Talk more, browse more. Terms and conditions apply.
The future is exciting. Ready?
Let me explain in here. I'm a mistake where I use cement for all your projects. That's why Gassem, with 50 years experience, wants to develop various greater. What's your various jobs? What was super rapid 32.5 hours? Oh no, you're suitable for your dream house. At your screening now, or Daduchi, Nazi or plastering now. Oh man, a perfect finish. Gassem, what was super strong 42.5 hours? Or your best suited for slabs, pavement blocks, Nasezicho blocks, Nankasa, Archie pumping. For the biggest construction works like roads, bridges, on your high-rise buildings, contractor and use Gassem Extra 42.5N. Missy the bidet, choose Gassem always.
Gassem, the nation builder.
Nationwide Medical Insurance, the leader in private health insurance, has deployed superior technology to make your healthcare experience more convenient and exciting. With the Nationwide mobile app, you can order your prescription drugs and we will deliver to your doorsteps. With over 600 dependable healthcare service providers, you're just a step away locating your service provider of choice and accessing hospital claim information in real time. Our corporate clients are guaranteed timely corporate utilization reports. We provide on-site clinics to give employees access to healthcare in the comfort of their offices. Enjoy these amazing benefits and so much more by signing on to Nationwide Medical Insurance today. Call us on toll-free number 0800-222222 or visit our website www.nationwidemh.com. Nationwide Medical Insurance. Join the healthcare family.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
You're welcome back to Newsnight, and as always, you can join us with your comments and thoughts on stories you will be hearing on the show on our WhatsApp line 0244340 Let's start from Parliament, where the minority in the House is accusing government of failing to demonstrate its commitment in the fight against corruption. According to them, the 2019 budget made provision for the recruitment of over 600 additional presidential staffers, whereas the Office of the Special Prosecutor has been giving a ceiling to employ only 12 personnel. They also claim that the budgetary allocation to Shraj has also seen a reduction of over 600,000 compared to last year. Contributing to the budget statement on the floor of the House earlier today, MP for North Tongue, Samuel Okujitua Blakwa, wants government to refrain from paying lip service towards the fight against corruption.
I am also, Mr. Speaker, Appendix 7, page 216. I am deeply worried about the refusal of President Akufo-Addo's government to listen to the people of this country. When the presidential staffers list of 998 was presented to this House, there was national outrage. Appendix 7, we are informed that the Office of Government Machinery, government intends to employ 1,614 people. Appendix 7. 998 Ghanaians were outraged. You are increasing it to 1,614. And Mr. Speaker, what is even worrying, Mr. Speaker, in that same table, the Office of the Special Prosecutor, they have been given a ceiling to employ only 12 people, only 12. Thomas Muller, the Special Prosecutor in the United States of America, has a staff of over 100.
How many people are in America?
Mr. Speaker,
if you are going to interlink them,
Mr. Speaker, I do not want Mr. Speaker to lead me to temptation. But Mr. Speaker, the Bible says in Deuteronomy 10:16, Moses told the Israelites, don't harden your heart, don't be stubborn. The people of this country are against this obese government. And yet, where we should put our money to fight corruption, to show commitment, only 12.
Also, the MP challenged Vice President Dr. Bawumia to appear before the House and participate in the ongoing debate on the budget statement. He believes the Vice President's participation will afford Ghanaians the opportunity to appreciate what government is using the huge sums of money they have borrowed.
The Vice President has full privileges. We want the Vice President to take advantage of the full privileges under Article 111 and come here and join the debate and engage in the debate. We want the Vice President to participate in the debate. We know that the good people of this country have been looking for him, asking, where is the man with the magic wand? Where are his lectures? We no longer hear him at his lectures. Parliament will not be some haven for him to come and hide. He should not just accompany the finance minister. He should exercise privileges under Article 111 and come participate in the debate. Mr. Speaker, the third quick observation has to do with the enormous resources that this government has had. I hold in my hands the Public Interest and Accountability Committee report, the 2017 annual report, which was laid in this House a few days back, Mr. Speaker. Page 14, under the executive summary, crude oil and gas production. A total of 58,658,063.54 barrels of crude oil was produced from Ghana's 3 production fields in 2017. Point 2 continues. In comparison with 2016, total crude production of 32.2 million, there was an 82% increase in the 2017 crude oil production. 82%, Mr. Speaker. The question Ghanaians are asking is that all of these resources, coupled with 50 billion cedis of loans that the Honorable Finance Minister has saddled this country with. The question is, where are these resources?
So let's hear from Mr. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. He joins us on the line. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. So you say it's 998 to 1,614. Was there any justification provided for the increase in this number?
Good evening to you, MFA, and good evening to the distinguished listeners of Joy FM. Unfortunately, MFA, there is no justification. I was quite astonished when I referred to the appendixes of the 2019 budget, specifically on page 216, under the heading MDA Staff Establishments and Costs. I was astonished that after all the outrage last year, when the people of this country said that we cannot continue to allow President Akufo-Addo to put together such a large size of government, historic numbers. No president in the history of this country has put together such a huge size. You had one.
When the referee's whistle sounds, when
the people of this country complained, and then you did a reshuffle and increased it further. We now have 111 ministers. And as if that was not enough, one would have thought that when you have such a huge core of ministers, you will reduce the presidential staffers. In the department as well, you have set a new record, a record which is not a record we will be proud of, or we should be proud of. And after all the outrage, after all the angst, MFA, they have increased the ceiling and they are employing 1,614. What are they going to do? I mean, you take the presidential staffers list at number 10 at the White House. I mean, they are nowhere near these numbers. And what is more worrying, MFA, as I said during the budget debate today, if you come to entry number 48, at that same table, page 216, Office of the Special Prosecutor, he is allowed to employ only 12 people. Only 12 people. And as I said, the Special Prosecutor at, who is currently working on the claim that Russia may have interfered in the U.S. elections, the 2016 U.S. elections, Special Prosecutor Mueller has over 100 staff. And he's just looking at one item. His mandate is just to look at the alleged Russia interference.
But of course, it's said that you are more like comparing apples and oranges because they have a different situation out there in terms of size of population and all. So it's not something that you can actually compare to our system as we have here.
It shouldn't be about size of population. It should be about having the right staffing. Remember that the Special Prosecutor himself, Mr. Mati Ambidu, has complained. He put out an op-ed recently where he talked about, starving the unit of resources.
But Mr. Okudzeto, we all know you were in Parliament when the LI came. Of course, there's going to be passed, and all those issues we're told will be resolved. But really, I'd want to find out. You made reference to 216, Appendix 216, where the MDA Staff Establishment and Costs. So I'd want to find out specifically from what you read. Is it for the Jubilee House that we are seeing this increment from 998 to 1,614, or it will be part of the ministries, departments, and agencies? Will it be directly under the Jubilee House?
This is just the Office of Government Machinery. If you look at the table, if you look at Appendix 7, other ministries have their breakdown. For example,
I think I'm not getting an answer to that, Mr. Ablakwa. I would want to specifically ask. Office of the Presidential Machinery or Office of the President, is that what it is? What exactly? Where exactly are they going? Office of the President or government machinery?
Office of Government Machinery. Office of Government Machinery. Item number 1. Office of Government Machinery. And that is different from ministries. If you take, for example, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, they have a different staff of 3,546. The Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources have a different staff entry of 5,918. The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation has 6,315 staff. So this is just Office of Government Machinery, which includes the presidency. And the point I'm making is that we cannot continue to be ballooning the staff of the Office of Government Machinery when critical sectors, like the Office of the Special Prosecutor, he is allowed to employ only 12. You talked about the LI. The LI is not going to resolve this matter. I mean, this is the ceiling they have. They cannot employ beyond 12. When we approve this budget, at the end of this debate, that is all the Special Prosecutor is left with. And I'm saying that if you even come to the allocation to Shraj, I mean, for the first time in a long time, you are seeing that year after year, there is a decline by over 612,000 cities. This is not how you fight corruption.
But of course, this is a broad area, like you clarified, Office of Government Machinery, and that includes the ministry, departments and agencies. So we can clearly say that presidential staffers have been increased from 998 to 1,614. Can we say that?
You would have to get a copy of the budget and look at the appendix. I'm telling you.
I agree. You have seen it, so I'm just getting clarification.
The ministries are not part of this, no. The Office of Government Machinery is a separate entry.
But from what you quoted earlier, what you read, you said it's MDA staff establishment and cost. That's what you said.
The ministries are separated from the Office of Government Machinery.
Okay.
So it's not one and the same thing.
So is there an increase in presidential staffers particularly?
We will have to get the breakdown. We will have to get the breakdown to know.
Okay, so but from what you read, have they been employed or are they yet to be employed or already employed?
Per this allocation, because an amount of 110 million cedis has been allocated in this budget. And so what it means is that after this approval, the government is free to employ this 1,614. That is if they have not already engaged them.
Okay, we are grateful for your time. That's Mr. Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa raising these concerns in Parliament today. We're still working the lines to get some reaction from government on this, whether the increase is actually 998 to 1,614, whether they've been employed or yet to be employed, and whether they are indeed presidential staffers or it's a broad area, whether it's just the Office of Government Machinery. But we'll definitely get some answers here on Newsline Komla.
Absolutely. Now, call it close shave with another imprisonment, and you won't be far from right. That was the fate of Alistair Nelson, Godwin Akugan, and radio show host Salif Umar, also known as Mugabe, until the Supreme Court upheld the former President John Mahama's decision to grant them a presidential pardon after they were found guilty of contempt charges for threatening to kill some judges in the country. We'll get you a blow-by-blow account of proceedings in court earlier today, but first, here's a wrap of the events so far.
That was the conversation that started the harsh attack on the justices of Ghana's Superior Court.
Is it the Supreme Court? Is it the Supreme Court who determines the question? Christian Council?
The exact words cannot be repeated here, but Alistair Nelson, Godwin Akugan, and radio show host Salif Umar faced contempt charges after threatening the then Chief Justice Georgina Theodora Wood and other justices of Ghana's highest court, the Supreme Court. The three were found guilty of the contempt charges. Nana Atudadze represented them in court.
The host and the panelists were sentenced to 4 months imprisonment, in addition to 10,000 Ghana cedis fine or a further 1 month imprisonment. Thank you very much.
The contemnors were driven to the Nsawam prison to begin their sentences. Public opinion around this was split.
The final judgment, what I can say is, this should be a lesson for us. The advice I will give to the journalists that they should, because it happened to one of the stations, it can happen to another. Oman can ye, the Oman and Oman yen, but send the Nipa to me from an of from some Apacho. Ndoma Pacho, then say,
and then thus emerged the advocacy from within the rank and file of the NDC. Free the Montier 3 was their message. The campaigners demanded that then-President John Dramani Mahama pardoned the three.
Let's break our conscience as a country and fight against such injustice. We cannot continue to live like that. The principles of justice tell that all must be equal before the law. Where is the equality here?
It was a big dilemma for a president preparing to seek re-election. But he listened to the voice of his party despite the strong opposition from other quarters. Mr. Mahama explained why.
Even before they were called before the court, they had shown remorse. They had apologized for what they said. Before the courts, they apologized again. When they were sentenced in mitigation, they asked for mercy and apologized, retracted everything they said. And even after they were sentenced and left the court and went to prison, they still, in written and verbal form, expressed absolute regret for what they did.
But this was a justification that would be tested in court.
And that's a wrap of the journey so far. We've been joined in the studio by Joseph Akable. He was in court for us today, and he will give us a blow-by-blow account, like you said. So, Joseph, tell us about the three individuals that took this case to court.
So first, there is Nana Santi Bedietuo. He is the current executive secretary at the office of the president. There is also Elikplim Agbemeva. He is a private legal practitioner and also a presidential aspirant for the opposition NDC. Then there is Alfred Yeboah, who is also a private legal practitioner.
Was this a joint suit?
So the cases were filed individually. Per the records that we have, Elikplim Agbemeva's suit was filed first, then the other one filed by Nana Santi Bedietuo before that of Alfred Yeboah was also filed. But the Supreme Court, realizing that the three cases were essentially seeking similar reliefs, decided to consolidate the cases into one case and deal with them at the same time.
You've mentioned several reliefs, though, but what exactly were they seeking?
So the thrust of the case bordered on Article 72 of the Constitution, and that part of the Constitution talks about the President acting in consultation with the Council of State, having the ability to grant a person convicted of an offense or a pardon, either free or subject to lawful conditions. Now, they went to court to contend that, in their opinion, the president cannot grant a pardon in matters of criminal contempt. So one of the reliefs they were asking the courts to grant was that that pardon granted them was unconstitutional, for which reason they should be ordered or another should be directed for them to be arrested to serve the remainder of their sentence. Mind you, they were handed a 3-month jail term. They served just a little over 3 weeks.
It will be interesting to know the makeup of the panel that had this case. What was the makeup? Who were they?
So there were Justices Adenyira, Bafuboni, Apao, Puaman, and Benin. Now these 5 individuals made the majority decision. You said it was 5-2 decision. The other 2 that had the other opinion were Justices Enin Yeboah and Doche.
What reasons did they give for this particular 5-2 decision?
They said the constitutional provision is pretty much clear, and it gives the president a power to grant pardon, and as far as they are concerned, it applies to criminal contempt, and they don't think that power should be questioned.
But generally, I would want to find out the reactions in court after this decision was communicated.
I spoke to Elikplim Agbemeva. He said he was disappointed in the decision of the court.
And he joins us on the line as well. He's been telling you about his disappointment, like you said. Mr. Agbemeva is a lawyer himself and an NDC presidential hopeful, like my colleague Joseph Akable stated. Thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. So, you state clearly how disappointed you are with the decision. What were you actually expecting?
Well, I was expecting that the Supreme Court will, assert its independence, because you recall that in the early stages when the consideration was being given to the issue of whether the pardon should be granted or not. Somebody like the president's own lawyer, Mr. Tonilita, had written an advice, an open letter to the president advising against, such exercise of the presidential powers to pardon, under Article 72, and for the main reason that it was going to undermine the independence of the judiciary. So my own case was quite distinct from the other two, and the thrust of my case was that the decision would be arbitrary. There will be no legal basis for that decision because, anybody at all who is in prison can express remorse, but is that the only ground upon which the presidential pardon should be exercised? We thought that, it should be in line with Article 296, which calls for discretionary power to be exercised in a reasonable manner. So I was hoping that, the Supreme Court will agree with the opinion or the view that, its independence was impaired. But they thought otherwise. And if the institution which possesses that independence says that, no, our independence was not affected and the president had those powers to exercise them when he did, we don't have any issue with that. Apart from that, discretionary power, the exercise of discretionary power in this country is giving rise to so many controversies and issues. And I think that if the Supreme Court had looked at it carefully, we will begin to rein in that power because, over the world, in the UK, in the US, discretionary power is not just a blank power where people decide to do anything they want at any time. No. Beyond that, beyond the power that is given to the public official, there are subsidiary legislation that explain the circumstances, the time, the context within which such power will be exercised. And we were seeking that, because we borrow most of our laws and principles from the common law, jurisdictions, we will follow suit and develop our laws, in that same vein, because it's a good thing, but again, secondly, the Supreme Court still said that no. Article 72, the power to pardon is a prerogative, and the once it is exercised within the dictates of the law, it cannot be questioned. And I think that we take it that way, and we await full judgment of the panel and see where we went wrong or where they thought that our case was not strong enough.
But it's interesting. It's interesting, Mr. Gbamava, that you, as a member of the NDC, actually went ahead to file this particular suit against the then president of the Republic. It means both of you are on different parts in the party.
Why is it interesting? Does it mean that once I'm in the NDC, I lose my rational powers to think? Is that so? Because as I said, and in any case, you have played several cases where people said that it shouldn't have been, and I've told you that the president's own lawyer also gave an advice which is on all fours with the case I put before the Supreme Court. So there's nothing strange about this. There's nothing interesting about this. It only shows that we are in a democracy. We cannot have the same mind, and where we have divergent opinion, people expressing different views, and actually exercising their constitutional rights, we should, we may not applaud, but we should allow the space, for people to also operate. So I think that it's part of our democratic development, and we should all have that patience and fortitude to tolerate divergent opinion. I was not in the Supreme Court to seek anybody down for. No. If we continue to view constitutional cases in this vein, then we are not building the constitution we have adopted for ourselves.
We are grateful. We'll leave it here, Mr. Eli Agbamava. We are really grateful for your time. He's also hoping to lead the NDC in 2020 as a presidential aspirant. But let's speak to private legal practitioner, lawyer Yao Pong, also for some more education on this matter. Mr. Opong, thank you very much for your time here on Newsnight. So were you expecting anything different in terms of the ruling? And also, by way of education, what would have happened exactly if the Supreme Court did not uphold the decision to pardon them?
Good evening. Thank you very much. Well, I think that your question is now moot because the Supreme Court, by majority decision, has affirmed the action of the executive then, and therefore the issue of whether or not something else would have happened, I think that it may not be so relevant, with all due respect, to give a direct answer, except to say that we are all in this country, we have signed up to the rule of law, and that whenever a matter comes up, we have always said that we should be bold to bring it before the institution of state that is mandated to determine such matters once they relate to a dispute that can only be resolved by law or by the application of the law and judicial mechanism. And so we should encourage that when it goes against us. Of course, we may be unhappy, but then our reaction, with all due respect, should also be rational. We are happy, I always say, to have a judiciary that is very strong, firm, and independent, and also having very independent-minded judges who determine these matters, whether you are big, strong, whether you are of a lowly stock like some of us, or you are very powerful. They will apply the law as they understand it, as their conscience will serve them to do, and mindful of also the oath they have taken. And that, for me, that is the highest point of when these matters come up. The idea that citizens are realizing that they have a judiciary that when there is an issue, they can run to and they will get fair justice. For me, that's the highest point.
Mr. Opong, one of the three we know, Godwin Akugan, after his election as Deputy Communications Director of the NDC, has been described as an ex-convict. I mean, is he or not? And does it matter his place in the party, convict or not?
Well, this matter will need to be looked at more deeply. The matters relating to that closest will be maybe qualification criteria for members of parliament and eligibility criteria also for members of parliament. And, of course, the Constitution states that political parties in organizing their affairs must be minded or mindful of the constitutional provisions that relate to such organizations, in elections and holding of offices. When you go to Article 94, it spells out this qualification eligibility criteria. And one of them, if you go to Article 94.2c, it says a person who has been convicted for high crime under this Constitution or high crime or treason or for an offense involving security of the state, fraud, dishonesty, or moral turpitude is disqualified. Of course, there is exception where they have served their term and then 10 years after that. So the word here is, the key word here is convicted. And the offenses or the crimes that have been listed involving security of the state, fraud. We know that what they were convicted of, or this gentleman was convicted of, did not relate to fraud, mind you, didn't relate to dishonesty. When it comes to moral turpitude and security of the state, that may need a deeper analysis of the jurisprudence in relation to this, to even find out whether or not, if you are convicted of contempt of court, it is a matter that relates to the security of the state, or it relates to moral turpitude, or both. When it relates to a very important organ of state, such as the judiciary, then a case can be made for or against the issue of whether or not what you've been convicted of involves an offense that relates to the security of the state. And we'll leave these matters for further discussion.
We're grateful for your time. Lawyer Yao Pong is a private legal practitioner. You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. Still to come, Education Service directs JHS and SHS students to line the streets of Eastern Region towns to welcome President Akufo-Addo as he begins his tour of the region tomorrow. We have a reaction from concerned parents. There's a latest statement from that. We'll get it to you. And later on, flip side, a post-match press conference by Black Queens coach Bashir Hayford, which turned into an English lesson.
Define the word bankrupt first. I want you to define it.
No,
let him define. Allow him. Let him define it.
I will define with the sense that.
No. Define the word bankrupt.
You didn't have any style. You didn't have antidote to your.
Is that what you mean by tactical bankrupt? I want you to consult your tactical dictionary again.
And that's coming up later on here on Flip Side, and also some of your messages that you sent in via WhatsApp on 0244 340 And it's time now for business, and we're told that the National Communications Authority has sanctioned all 4 mobile telecommunications networks. Is that it, George?
And before you're right on, there are issues to do with service quality in terms of voice, and maybe it could be one of the highest fines that we've seen from the National Communications Authority to these telcos. Now we're getting more details on that one and how it also could affect these telcos. And also Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta rules out extending any financial support to customers of gold dealership firm Men's Gold. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials.
That's the sound of my heart breaking the first time I said I wanted to be a cassava farmer.
Thank you.
But this was when I graduated with first class honors in agriculture. Oh, my first harvester. The last harvester I ordered online. That's people seeing my fresh cassava page on Facebook and Instagram. And endless number of calls for my quick fufu all year round.
There are beautiful connections that bridge humble todays to amazing tomorrows on Ghana's #1 network, everywhere you go.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Joy 99.7 FM, radio for the discerning listener.
And welcome back to Business on Newsnight. And the National Communications Authority has sanctioned 4 telcos for non-compliance to quality of service requirements. There is more in the following Business Desk report.
According to a statement issued by the National Communications Authority, NCA, the 4 telcos, that's MTN, Glo, Vodafone, and Tigo Airtel, have together been fined 34 million Ghana cedis. Airtel Tigo's fine is said to be the highest, as they are expected to pay some 11.6 million cedis. MTN has been fined a little over 9 million Ghana cedis. Vodafone would have to cough up 8.8 million Ghana cedis for the breach in the service quality, while Glo would pay 4.4 million cedis. According to the National Communications Authority, the telcos have up to 30 days to pay the fine or risk additional sanctions. The NCA maintains that it took that action after these telcos failed to meet key performance indicators in the districts in the Greater Accra, Eastern, Western and Northern regions, as well as 2 districts in the Ashanti region, with regards to quality service, data and speech quality. According to the NCA, these punitive measures are intended to encourage the mobile networks to adhere to quality of service as set out in the license conditions, which will in turn result in an improved service experience for customers.
And that was a Business Desk report. Now, let's still stay on this sector because the Telecoms Chamber believes that government's move to ensure that every citizen can acquire a tax identification number can be achieved through the mobile money platforms. That is Chief Executive of the Chamber, Ken Ashigbe, gave this assurance in an interview with Joy Business on the sidelines of the post-budget seminar on tax policy in Accra today.
How do we take cash out of government payment? And I believe that those are opportunities for the communication industry to be able to partner, work with government, to be able to facilitate how people would be able to pay their taxes, how would be able to then use that to expand the tax net so that everybody then pays a little bit of his, his due, so that we're able to achieve the Ghana Beyond 8. The interesting thing, one of the challenges for us as an industry we've been talking about is, the decoupling of VAT from the Get Fund NHIL. Well, the good thing is that Ministry and GRA says it's something that they're going to consider, because definitely for that particular one, it's more of a production tax.
Ken Ashigbe is Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber. Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta says government has no intention of bailing out customers of good gold dealership firm Men's Gold. According to the minister, the time has come for people to be responsible for their actions. Now, some customers of the gold dealership firm have been making some passionate appeal to government to bail them out, looking at the fact that they are struggling to retrieve their funds from that is Men's Gold. They are citing examples where government came in to bail out customers of DKM as an example for government to do a similar thing. But speaking at the 3rd Capital Market Conference in Accra, the Finance Minister said he doesn't think that is the way to go for government.
I know the SEC has come down hard and strong and justifiably on Men's Gold. But the issue of a company like Men's Gold is, as I even look at the Ministry of Finance, and I see some people at the Ministry of Finance who have invested there. I look at the Bank of Ghana, and I see some people at the Bank of Ghana who have invested there. And really, and of course the military, etc. So it becomes an issue of greed as a people and our own behavior, when we are so clear, as educated as we might be, that when we went there was no license. And we chose to do that. I think it is not in the place of government to fund or get your money back for you. It was an obvious trap that you went into. But maybe we as an industry should also push the whole issue of education.
Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. In a separate development, government has indicated that it is working to list profitable state-owned enterprises on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Senior Minister Yao Safma disclosed this at the Capital Market Program in Accra.
Regarding state-owned enterprise, can we explore the question, will there be improved efficiency and profitability if some of them are listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange? Can we enhance good corporate governance with such move? Such move have successfully used in the United Kingdom under Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher. We in Ghana have done so before. In 2001, a strategic partner was identified for Ghana Commercial Bank, and the government was asked under a program to divest 40% of Ghana Commercial Bank to a strategic investor. So when I resumed as Minister of Finance, I was told by the country director of the World Bank that, sir, your first assignment is to sign the agreement to give the strategic investor a certain percentage of Ghana Commercial Bank.
The minister also indicated that the time has come for the Securities and Exchange Commission to support local assemblies to actually institute or actually issue infrastructure bonds. Meanwhile, the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Bamitete, says they are poised to fast-track this move where government is planning to list state-owned enterprises on the Ghana Stock Exchange.
I think I can confidently say that the regulator is really up to it. We have a team that would turn around such applications in good time. We have within the SEC certain, let me call it, service level agreement, which stipulates how much time to spend on a number of things that, because we are committed to seeing more issues come to the market. So SEC is prepared. Once the SOEs that the senior minister hinted, once they get their advisors and they come through to the SEC, you can be sure that the turnaround time will be good.
Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Reverend Daniel Ogba, and that's all for Business on Newsnight. Interesting development, MFI, if you look at the sanction on these telcos. 34 million Ghana cedis, and they have 30 days to
30 days. We'll see how it goes. George, thank you
very much for business. Let's take some of your messages on the stories we've brought you so far. And this one from Donald Yenab in Kumasi says, is that what President Akufo-Addo and his MPP told us when they were in opposition? They promised us a small government, and we're now seeing an elephant-sized government. No wonder their symbol is the elephant. Ghanaians will decide come 2020. And this other one says, I want to ask if those who are working at the president's office are Ghanaians or foreigners. If they are Ghanaians, are they not citizens of a country to work at the presidential office? That's Achu Aram Blawuji inside Keta. And this other one says, this government is not interested in listening to anyone. Ghanaians complained about the 110 ministers, yet the president increased the number. The 1,614 presidential staffers is no stun, because there are people who are paid with the taxpayers' money, just to remind the president of issues. That's Berima Kubajini from Jenny, bringing us that one. And this one on the story we just brought to you about the NCA and the fine they've meted out to the telcos. It says when these telcos are fined, the proceeds should come to the consumers, not the NCA. That's Kofi from Kumasi. And another one says kudos to the NCA for being proactive. I urge all state agencies to emulate the actions of the NCA to make Ghana work again. Seprempe Presec Legon. Those are some of your messages. You can still send more of your messages in on our WhatsApp number 0244-340-437.
And we welcome most of your messages, of course. It's always nice to read from you. But now, Education Service has directed JHS and SHS students to line the streets of eastern region towns of New Akrade to Akonsombo to welcome President Akufo-Addo as he begins his tour of the region tomorrow. Joy News has cited a copy of the letter which is asking schools in Akrade and Akonsombo to release their JHS and SHS students to participate in the exercise. Kamala, you've seen a copy of the letter. What does it say?
First of all, these are at least 12 schools have been copied. The head teachers of 12 schools have been copied to release their students to line the streets to welcome the president to the region. Let me run you through some of the schools: Xavier Cambridge JHS, South Senchi DA JHS, New Akrade Presby JHS, Atimpoku DA JHS, and Akwemuman Senior High School, Akwemu Ebuakwa DA JHS, Akwemu West Presby JHS, Akonsombo VRA JHS number 1, Akonsombo VIA JHS number 2, Senchi Ferry Methodist JHS, New Senchi RC JHS. So 12 schools will have their students line the streets to welcome President Akufo-Addo to the region. And it says in view of this, the head teachers of these institutions have been informed to release all their students to line up along the principal streets from New Akrade through to Atimpoku to Akonsombo. And this is essentially to welcome the president to the region.
And it's drawing some reactions already. We'll get to hear from the concerned parents. But let's speak to correspondent Max Kudako, who's been following this issue, and he joins us on the line. So, Max, what's been the reaction to this? I'm sure you've been trying to find out from the Education Service, for instance, on this directive.
Well, managers of the Ghana Education Service, both at the Sojaman District and the Eastern Regional Directorate, are not forthcoming with information. So all that we have is what we've read on paper. I've made several efforts to hear from the district director and then the regional director, but officially none is communicating. But unofficially, an official from the GS at the regional director told me that this is not a news. I mean, these are his words, that this is no news, and that from Kwame Nkrumah days, you will see students paraded at by the roadside, ushering the president in some of these stores. So they believe that this is not anything new that is happening in Ghana. I've also made some checks at the Regional Coordinating Council to find out whether they are aware of the arrangement. And I'm told that the Regional Coordinating Council doesn't have an idea of this arrangement to parade students by the roadside to usher the president into the Sojaman district.
You heard my colleague Maxwell Kudako. He will definitely be looking for some more explanation to this latest directive. But concerned parents have issued a statement on this, and it reads that our attention has been drawn to a circular coming from the Esojaman District Office of the Ghana Education Service to the head teachers of some 12 basic and senior high schools in the district, requesting them to release pupils to come and line up on the street to welcome the President of the Republic to the district on Thursday, 22nd November 2018. And it goes on to say that the letter to the heads was confirmed by our wards when they returned from school today to break the news from their school that they are to wash their dresses in readiness for the said exercise.
And it goes ahead to say, we the concerned parents of children of these schools see this as dangerous and life-threatening to our children, considering the time this exercise is to take place. That's 12 noon. We also see this circular from the Ghana Education Service, whose hands we entrust the lives of our wards to, as irresponsible, especially when they are aware of health hazards they are exposing these young children to, the scorching sun and the danger posed by moving vehicles.
So finally, other portions also says we want to draw the GES and Government of Ghana's attention to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Children, and it talks about Article 3, which talks about best interests of the child. Article 6, which talks about survival and development of the child. Article 12, respect for the views of the child. Also 36, it says other forms of exploitation where children should be protected from any activity that takes advantage of them or could harm their welfare and development.
What are they now seeking? They are saying that the circular asking for school children to line under the scorching sun to wave as the president passes as a violation of the rights asked by the UNCRC, and they call on the GES and the school authorities to halt the exercise. It says we will, however, not hesitate to take legal action against the Ghana Education Service if they decide not to heed this, but go ahead with the plan to violate the rights of our children. And this was issued and signed by Bright Ofosu Anointing, and he is one of the concerned parents.
And thankfully, Bright Ofosu Anointing joins us briefly here on Newsnight. So what really are you hoping to happen by the statements that you've issued? Are you saying that the children should not go out there to welcome the president?
Yes. Basically, what we're talking about is that yesterday our children made us understand that tomorrow the president will be visiting the Sojamai, and the president, the education director, Mavis O. Rinchi, has ordered the headmasters to release the children to come and stand along the roadside, right from New Akadi to Akosomo, to welcome the president and his entourage. And what we are saying is that the United Nations on the rights of children, I mean Article 3, 6, 12, and 36, really frowns on that. And we are saying that if the education director is saying something like that, it's not in the best interest of the children. If you may permit me, the articles.
We've gone through the articles, Bright. We've already gone through the articles as containing your statement. But by the way, which of these schools, these 12 schools that were mentioned by the Director of Education of Esojaman, which of the schools does your ward or child attend?
Basically, my child is in the GA Primary School at New Academy, Private GHS. That is where my child is.
Very well, Bright. We are grateful for your time. That's Bright Ofosu Anointing. He's a member of the Concerned Parents Association. We're still working the lines to be able to speak to the Ghana Education Service on this, but we'll definitely get some reaction to this directive as cited, and we'll definitely bring them to you in our subsequent bulletins.
Time now for Baba Tando to join us with the latest in sports. Baba.
Hi, MFA and Komla. So it happens that Nigeria Super Falcons have handed themselves a lifeline to qualifying to the semi-finals of the ongoing Women's AFCON after beating the Sheep Polo Polo of Zambia by 4-0 in Cape Coast. Ridwan Ibrahim Asante watched that game, and he joins me on phone. Ridwan, tell me, what did the magic for the Nigerians?
Hello.
Hi, Ridwan. What happened, or what did the trick for the Nigerians this time round?
Determination and urgency. The Nigerians, the Super Falcons, knew they were in a tight corner and they were facing early eviction from the tournament. So what they did was to dig very, very deep, and in doing that, the coach just made one change to the starting lineup that lost 1-0 to the Banyana of South Africa. And when it happened, they scored a lot of chances too, but then the combination of Desiree Oparanoy, who is coming into this tournament as a former goal queen from the previous tournament, studying 2014, she's been around all this while, connected first, and then Asisat Ushola also scored. That was in the first half, and then in the second half, goals also came in. Oh, just currently at the stadium, South Africa have scored once again, so it's 2-0 for South Africa against Equatorial Guinea after 22 minutes.
Right.
It's Inyandeni who has scored for South Africa, Banyana. The result will be that they will stay on top of the table and will travel to Accra to play their last game against Zambia, and that's also on Saturday. So, Baba, just back to the Super Falcons game, and substitute Rasheedat Ajibade also scored, and then Grace Okoronko scored to make it 4-0. So the defending champions are back in contention to make it to the semi-finals. But currently, after 22 minutes, it's South Africa who are leading Equatorial Guinea by 2 goals.
Okay, Redwan, I would quickly want to find out what's the mood in the Nigerian camp. Do they think it's a done deal for them, considering the fact that Equatorial Guinea are quite weak in this tournament?
Absolutely. They feel it's an easier task, relatively easier task compared to the Zambian KM situational examination. This is going to be one of the easiest, and we can foretell what will happen. It will be a walk in the park performance for Nigeria as they play against Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea conceded 5 against Zambia, and after 22 minutes, they are already down by 2 goals. It could be more, or maybe it could be same. So we're just waiting to see the prepping girls. Remember, they came into the competition not adequately prepared after winning a protest, an appeal at CAF. They were first thrown out of the tournament for fielding an unqualified player. They appealed and then won that protest.
Yes.
And so they are back. They came in late, and the coach explained that it was the decision by CAF cost them, that sort of grim preparation.
Right, Redwan, thank you very much. Redwan he actually joined me from Cape Coast, where he watched the earlier game of Group B, their second group game between Nigeria and Zambia. Nigeria winning by 4-0, and currently it's Banyana, that's South Africa winning by 2-0 against Equatorial Guinea, still in the first half. And that'll do it for sport for now.
That's not all. You need to stay with us. We'll definitely talk about a press conference that was organized for after the Black Queens lost for the coach and all. Please stay with me so you can give us some more update on this. But it's time now for fact checking.
Absolutely. And today we're focusing on some claims made by former President John Mahama at last weekend's National Delegates Congress of the NDC. Raymond Akwa has more on these claims and the verdicts in the following report.
Let's start with the former president's claim that capital expenditure for 2016 exceeded that of the last 2 years. This is true. Capital expenditure as a percentage of GDP decreased from 4.5% of GDP in 2016 to 3.1% in 2017 to 1.5% for the first half of this year. He also said that business confidence is down today.
Business confidence was at an all-time high prior to 2017. Today, business confidence is down.
This is misleading. According to the AGI's Business Barometer Index, business confidence improved for the first time after 3 consecutive dips in the second quarter of 2018. The index shot up to 104.8 in quarter 2 from 100.5 in quarter 1 in 2018. For 2017, business confidence dropped marginally for the second time running from 108.2 in quarter 3 to 107.9 in quarter 4. Business confidence picked up marginally to 103.8 points in quarter 1 2017 from 101.6% in quarter 4 2016. Between 2014 and the second quarter of 2016, business confidence index rose above the base index of 100 on 2 occasions only. The former president then claimed the debt for 2016 was 122 billion cedis.
Ghana's current debt has ballooned from 122 billion Ghana cedis at the end of 2016.
This is false. Both the Controller Accountant General's Department's 2016 report and also the Auditor General's report puts the figure at 120.3 billion and not 122.3 billion.
You had that fact check. You stay tuned into Joy 99.7 FM. We'll bring you fact check every Wednesday right here on your superstation. Now, we mentioned that Baba will still remain with us. And Baba, we know the Black Queens have been playing.
And we're worried about their chances.
Absolutely. Following their defeats, what are their chances now?
Well, we want to look to the brighter side of life. The ministry wants to fill up the stadium on Friday, so they are giving out free tickets. You can pick up some from the front desk of Joy FM. But yesterday, after the defeat, I actually thought that Coach Bashir Hayford was going to blame the referee from Swaziland, Antonella Letitia Vianney, for the team's defeat. But he actually had different ideas. He didn't really talk much about the referee.
We'll get to hear him. I will leave you with Coach Bashir Hayford at that press conference. I am Emefa Apau.
I am Komla Adom.
And I am Baba Tando.
What Ghanaians and football-loving people are saying is that since you took over as the manager for the Black Queens, you have been defending the girls. Give us one effect that you have bring in the team.
What you have brought. Correct what you have brought to the team. No, please, people are listening. So that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that because maybe those who are going to write exams will import it. Please, what you have brought. I have not ever said anywhere that they are not adapting to any tactical play that I'm teaching. What I'm saying is that when you need power from them, they are not like men. They are women. You want them to maybe shoot like Tony Eboa, you won't get it. You want them to dribble and turn like Messi, you won't get it. But that is their standard. That's what we are shaping them for the tournament. Define the word bankrupt first. I want you to define it.
No,
let him define. Allow him. Let him define it.
I will define with the sense that.
No. Define the word bankrupt.
You didn't have any style. You didn't have antidote to your.
Is that what you mean by tactical bankrupt? I want you to consult your tactical dictionary again. When we say somebody is tactically bankrupt, it means he was not even able to put the team together, and they were playing patternless. And look at the way the girls played. They played almost 65% of the game. And who is bankrupt? Who is bankrupt? When you are borrowing a word, you borrow to suit the situation. But if I'm also to borrow a word now for you, for the question you pose, you won't be happy. It's not time for me to borrow. No, I won't borrow. You borrowed and you have defined it wrongly.